This is a 2012 Ford Fiesta, this one being 1.25 variety with a dizzying 82 horsepower. And the average asking price for this online is about £3,000. Is it worth the money is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's go on with the review. So I'm going to start off by saying this is my third time doing a review of this Ford Fiesta, and hopefully that means I've got quite good at it. We start off with this. This one comes from 2012, although the number plate suggests otherwise, but it's a personalised number plate. Can you guess what it is? The styling of this car still holds up quite well, even with the new Fiesta, because the base model new Fiestas look a bit like a fish. So this car still looks pretty good today. Round the side we see that it's graced with these, which are wheel trims, and they look questionable. Round here we see that my car is spec'd in 3-door variety, which means there's 1 door on each side and a boot, which somehow counts as a door, although I've only ever had 1 person get in and out of the boot. Actually 2 if you count myself. Inside the car we see that there's enough room for let's say 4 people somewhat comfortably. The 2 people in the front are going to be nice and comfy. The 2 people in the back not so, and if you try and carry 3 people in the back, you better hope they're friendly with each other, because there's going to be a nice bit of shoulder contact. I'll say a nice bit, it's pretty cramped with 3 in the back. So now in classic Doug DeMuro style, I shall get in the back of this car. Me being a young 4'23" male, it's nice and easy. On the back of the seat you've got this nice handle, you pull it up, seat springs forward in a major way, you can pull it forward another little bit and then you can get in. So here we go. So this driver's seat is set for me, so I'll pull it back and see how much space I've got in the back. The back seat's been actually quite comfy. My knees are touching the seat. There's not a whole lot of room back here. I'm happy it's my car and I get to drive it. Now, onto the boot. Apart from being extremely muddy and dirty inside, there's actually a decent amount of room in here. Decent enough so that I can get in with a little more space than I had in the back seats, mind you. So, yeah. The boot slash trunk of this car is also big enough for a bike or 2, if you don't mind a bit of contact between the bikes. So to fold the back seats down, I suggest you first take the parcel shelf off, hold on by these little strings, lift up the parcel shelf with a cheeky uppercut. Wait, there you go, it did come off. And yes, now there's cheeky latches on the back of the seats. Push them in, fold them forward, everyone's happy. You can put that back in and put your bike in. So if you cycle, you can put your bike in the back of the car, so then you don't have to cycle, because cycling, everyone knows, is not as good as driving. And to put the seats back up, it's just a reversal of the process. Moving on to the interior of the Mk7 Fiesta. It's quite a nice place to sit. I mean, the dash over here is a little cluttered. There's all the numbers you see actually on the dash are taken from a Nokia phone. So that gives you an idea of when the interior of this car was designed. It's not very up to date. Does the stuff you need it to do, and that's it. Nothing else. Doesn't do anything else. Although it does have space to store 3 credit cards, as I shall now demonstrate. So, if you happen to be a credit card salesman or some other card salesman, you will see that there's slots for 1, 2, and over here, a 3rd slot. So, if you have loads of cards that you need to bring with you, this is a good car for you. Other things inside the car, you have gracious sized door bins, which are actually big enough to store a small tub of chewing gum, an ice scraper, a remote for some illegal side lights that I bought that are no longer installed, a piece of plastic packaging, a piece of plastic, another remote, a shoe, a jacket, a full camera bag, and also a Werther's Original travel suite. So as you can see, the door bins are pretty big. They're big enough for all the stuff you need. Now it's time we have a look under the hood. Here we have a secret glove box. houses your ECU. Under there we have engine release. Well, I don't say engine release, it doesn't drop the engine out. We can have a look at the Mk7 Ford Fiesta's biggest safety feature. I say that this 1.25 litre engine is a safety feature because it's very slow, so you're never going fast enough to actually have a crash. The 1.25 litre engine, or 1.242 to be really precise, produces roughly 82 horsepower. And oh, I can tell you, it is very safe. I think it's time we have a listen. So now, that's a little walk around the car, so now I think it's time we take it out for a drive. I've picked a pretty fun road, takes you down past Fivish car park, and yeah, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the car. So this car, as I've said earlier on, has a dizzying 82 horsepower from a beefy 1.2 and a bit litre 4-cylinder engine, and let's just say that is a rather uninspiring drivetrain, in the sense that it's what's the term I'm looking for? Lethargic. It's quite darty round the corners. It's only a 1.2 obviously, so it's not going to weigh a whole bunch. And yeah, that's one thing makes up for it. The other thing is just the handling in general, because the handling is actually really good. I am on winter tyres at the minute here, so the winter tyres take a little bit of the handling away. Pedals are spaced really good if you want to give it a bit of heel toe, like so, from fourth to third even. And this road is actually just super fun. You're seeing the road, it is like a rally stage, and for whatever reason it feels so right in this car, although you can't really go very fast in this car. It makes you feel like you're going quite fast. So the fun factor in this car is it's up there. I mean, we're doing 60 along a road like this, which feels quite fast on a road like this. Every other time you do 60 in a car, let's just say it doesn't feel fast. Unless you're going through a town centre somewhere, then it will. A little bit of trail braking into this corner, yes. I mean, I don't want to say it's on rails, but I don't get understeer, is one thing. Obviously I'm on road, so getting understeer on a road, you've got to be going quite fast. Although when I got the car, I had some very cheap tyres on it, but I had some good rides on the front, and let's say in the wet, they offered you roughly no traction. So now we're getting on to the part of the review which I am probably the most excited about. I'm going to give it a Sol score. Not at all conceived by the way Doug DeMuro does his Doug score. But anyway, 10 categories, more tailored to me rather than Doug DeMuro, so they're going to be more for hot hatches, normal cars, etc., rather than supercars and stuff, because I think it's going to be a long time before I'm reviewing a Lamborghini of some description. On to the first category of 5 is the fun category. And this has stuff such as acceleration, noise, stuff you would expect. So for our Ford Fiesta right here, we start off with acceleration. And the Ford Fiesta scores a 1 out of 10 in the acceleration department, considering it's quite unfast. That brings us on to the next category, which I've unwittingly called fastness, which is how fast a car feels. Not how fast the numbers say it should be, but how fast it feels when you're actually in the car. And for this, the plucky little 1.2 Fiesta gets a 3 out of 10, because it does feel a little faster than the 12.5 second to 60 time suggests. Now we move on to the fun factor. And for this car is quite fun, especially when you're playing a game trying to keep up speed round a corner, so it scores a 6 in this category. On to the next one, we come to noise, and as you heard in the exhaust clip, actually sounds surprisingly good, so it gets a 4 out of 10. After that we come on to the style, and the style of this car is still holding up today, so it gets an average 5 out of 10. That brings its total score to 19 out of 50 for the fun category, which puts it right at the top because this is the first review I've done. Now we move on to function, which is where this car shines a bit more than it does in the fun department. First off in the function category is practicality. This only being a 3-door car with a relatively small boot only gets a 3 out of 10 for practicality. Now on to features. It does have some features with the likes of Bluetooth connectivity for your phone, but it doesn't have anything like sat nav or even lane departure warning assists, so it gets a 4 out of 10. Now on to quality. The interior plastics are in the lower half quite cheap, and you can move stuff like the center console with your hands, so it gets a 4 out of 10. On to value. This car now second hand for £3,000, so you can really pick up a deal, and as fun as it is, it gets a 7 out of 10 for value. And now into daily drivability. This gets a 7 out of 10, mainly because it's a nice comfortable ride, and like me, I do drive it every single day, and I've not really got many complaints other than the speed. So that gives it a 25 out of 50 for the function category, giving it a total of 44 out of 100, which is a pretty average score for a pretty average car. I was quite nervous about losing the camera there.